Okay, I'm in a really good mood because Final Fight is nearing completion and I'm really happy with the way things are turning out. Right now, I'm basically going through the game and just cranking everything up to 11. Um, pretty much everything works, but at this point, I mean, I'm just literally going through and just adding awesome stuff that wasn't even nearly there in the original game. So, in this video, I'm going to talk about the continue screen and how I've basically completely redone it, and it's more awesome than it ever was. Okay, so first, let's just look at the original game's continue screen. So basically, you can see that the way they did the graphics, the shadow is baked into the artwork. It's fairly static. It's basically just three images. The brick and the chair and the shadow and the character are all kind of baked into the same image. There's that little glitch, to the left of the piece of dynamite where there's a misaligned tile. Looks like dog shit. And there are all kinds of anomalies, just logically too, in the original game. So if you're playing a two-player game and you both happen to die at the same time, the continue screen will actually show both players at the table with the dynamite. But there's a kind of goof there where what they did was because of the way they aligned everything, even though Hager's animation is to blow on the dynamite to try to blow it out, because of the way they aligned it, Hager's mouth isn't even closely aligned, horizontally with the piece of dynamite. So it basically just looks like he's blowing on his groin or something. It's doing nothing. There's some other kind of logical bullshit in there. And I should just take a step back here. So I've basically thought about Final Fight's continue screen more than most people think about their spouses. So just to put that into perspective, that's how much thought I've given to this and how much care I put into it. So if you look at the bios of the characters in the original arcade game, Hager is 6'5", Cody is 5'9", and Guy is 5'8". However, in this level, when they put them all side by side, like Cody and Guy basically look like they're as tall as Hager. It's fucking stupid. So basically, just keep all of that in mind. So, all this shit, this kind of static thing. This was the original. This is what I'm dealing with. Now let me show you what I've done with the graphics here. So you can see that everything has been broken up into layers. Like the brick tile is there. Even the chair, the back of the chair has its own graphic. And I've actually separated the characters from the brick background. So the characters are now distinct. And this allows me to do a lot of shit. It allows me to do a lot of neat things, breaking up the graphics. So I broke up the graphics. Something else I want to point out. So if we look at the original graphics, you can actually see where when they did this frame of animation on Hager, they actually pasted it over or drew over another frame, so he has two left ears. Just more fucking errata in this game. There's oh god, there's so many mistakes in this game. I mean, literally, I have fixed hundreds. I mean, that's not even an exaggeration. I've actually fixed hundreds of problems with this game. Just little things like that. Everything has been cleaned up. Okay. So having said all that, let me load up this version of it, and let me talk about what's going on here. So this is the thing I've rigged up, just so the timer won't run out, and I can just talk about it. So lots of shit going on here. Basically, what I've done is I've added lighting to this thing. So basically, the lighting is synchronized with the spark on the dynamite. And so basically, when the spark is in its big frame, everything is lit brighter, and when the spark is at its smaller frame, everything is a little darker. And so it adds a lot of atmosphere. you can see with the tiled brick background, I can actually take up the entire top portion of the screen, whereas it was just a little shitty box in the original game. And because I've broke up the graphics, see how I can actually animate the characters where Cody actually moves to the left and right because that's what his motion is, and Guy actually moves up and down because that's what his motion is. And when Hager pulls back to take in a breath, he actually moves up, and when he blows down, he actually moves down a little bit. And I can do this because I broke up all of the graphics and can actually animate them separately from the brick background. And so basically, like when you continue and the knife comes down and it extinguishes the spark and the dynamite, the lighting actually goes to its dim state. So and you also notice that the shadows aren't baked into the graphics anymore. The shadows now are actually basically translucent copies of the sprites, and so you can see how both the chair, and Cody and Guy both have their own shadows, and then the characters themselves have their own shadows, and you can see how the shadow gets darker and brighter depending on the lighting of the dynamite spark. And you can also see how I've adjusted the heights of the characters. So Hager is actually noticeably taller than the other two characters now, and Guy is a little bit shorter than Cody. So this shit has all been corrected. And you can see how Hager is actually blowing where he should be, to actually try to put out the dynamite spark there. Tons of graphical cleanups. The double ear has been fixed. All kinds of shit has been fixed there. It pretty much is the best thing that any human's ever done. And then so I'm showing 16:9 aspect ratio, right? But of course, if I go in here and change this thing to 4:3 aspect ratio, of course all the usual horse shit's going on in there. You see how everything perfectly adjusts to fit the different aspect ratio. Everything is perfect. So 4:3, no problem. Let's get crazy and go to 21:9 aspect ratio. And you can see how everything gets positioned and centered perfectly. So it's always taking up the maximum amount of space, regardless of whether you have a crazy ass 32:9 aspect ratio monitor or it's a 4:3 CRT monitor. Of course it works on everything. So basically, this is the kind of graphical pass that I'm going through in the game. I'll make another video for it later, but I've added some really nice little subtle and awesome graphical effects to the industrial elevator stage as well. But basically, I'm going for broke here. This is spared no expense. This is, this is taking Final Fight's assets as far as they're going to go. I mean, basically, they're you can't do much more. I mean, you even notice too, like, see how based on the position of the character, the shadow orientation is actually set. So because because Cody's on the left side, his shadow casts to the left, and Hager's in the middle, so his shadow just casts back, and Guy's to the right, so his shadow casts right. All this shit has been mulled over and obsessed over and done until everything was absolutely perfect. So yeah, so here it is. I mean, in a way, I almost have to go back at some point and upgrade Big Blue with the Final Fight engine because, I mean, because I put this in Big Blue, but this is so much better now. I put so much more into this version of this that it's kind of I might have to do something there. But yeah, so there is the upgraded continue screen, and like I said, every aspect of the game is just being obsessed over and made as awesome as it could possibly be. Spared no expense. Everything is. I mean, really. I mean, if there's a pixel that I don't like in this game, I'm going to change it before I put it out. That's how much I care about this thing.